Alright guys, we'll get started here in just a moment or two. Yes, it is midnight where I am at. I am live streaming this at midnight, my time, because I'm not ready to fall asleep yet. So I don't think I've ever done this before. Uh, Maybe it's weird, I'm not sure. Maybe it's even a little stupid, but not ready to fall asleep yet. I do have my wine ready to help me fall asleep soon. But we'll talk about an article I saw earlier today, this morning, about the best Linux distributions for beginners. And we'll get started here in just a minute or two. Those of you who watch this on the replay, sorry I missed you. I can't blame you. And like I said, it's 7 minutes after midnight locally here. But we'll get started here on the topic shortly. All right. Well, the article earlier today that I saw, it's from ZDNet. It's someone who has about 30 years experience running Linux. That's more than me. I have about 20 years total with Linux and Windows, of course. And it was an interesting article. So I'm going to share that with you here right now. It was pre-recorded. Those of you watching this podcast, let me go ahead and transition here to VLC Player. And this is what I recorded earlier today. And these are my thoughts. Let me know what you guys think about all this. But let me go ahead and play this. Interesting to say the least. And tell me what you guys think. So let's go ahead and roll this. Here we go. To the gentleman of this article on ZDNet, sir, I give you a solid B+. Well done. All right, this is from ZDNet, the best Linux distributions for beginners, or distros as they are called, expert tested. Now, this gentleman, I believe, has 30 years experience with Linux. Well, sir, you bait me, because I have about 20 years. Thank you. All right, let's go through these one by one, and this is solid. I would have maybe one I may question, but let's go through these one by one. All right, the best Linux distribution for beginners overall, Linux Mint. It's hard to argue with this one. This has been around really, since 2008? At least that's when I started using Linux Mint. It's hard to say no to Linux Mint. This is one of those distributions where it just works. They release when ready and not necessarily on a fixed schedule. So Linux Mint is definitely a good choice. All right, next up, this one made me laugh in a good way. Best Linux distribution for beginners who are tired of Windows headaches. Okay, Windows politics sometimes isn't the best lately with Windows recall and yeah. So Chrome OS. It's hard to beat a Chromebook. Let's go visit this here. All right, Mulvad browser doesn't like this. Let's proceed anyway. All right, you can set up Linux desktop environment on a Chromebook. I think what he was trying to mention here was Chrome OS Flex, which is free to download. Chrome OS Flex works. Keep in mind that Chrome OS Flex is not guaranteed to work on everything. And it does not provide support for Android apps like on a Chromebook. In my opinion, if you want the very best experience that Linux has to offer for beginners, you cannot beat a Chromebook. All right, next up is Ubuntu, the best easy-to-use Linux distribution for beginners. This is a little bit confusing, so which is the absolute best? Well, I suppose Linux Mint is. If we go to Ubuntu, this was my very first date with Ubuntu, with Linux rather. It's okay, and you need to really, to make this work for beginners, you really need to install the proper extensions, which is where Zorn OS fits in. They use the GNOME desktop like Ubuntu with all the proper extensions to make this work, like the applications or category menu here. There's a screenshot, and yeah, I will go with Zorn OS first. If you like what you see, then you can migrate over or test Ubuntu if you so choose to. All right, best lightweight Linux distribution for beginners, MX Linux. MX Linux is good because they still provide 32-bit support, and this is what I installed on my 2 ThinkPads. And one of those ThinkPads had Windows XP that's still running, hence the power of Linux. And MX Linux is quite good. The best overall lightweight Linux for beginners, if you have a 64-bit system, maybe I would take a look at Lubuntu. Maybe. All right, what's last here? The best beginner Linux distribution for those migrating from Mac OS, elementary OS. Yeah, this definitely looks like a Mac, and I think it looks perfectly fine. So if you are a Mac user, and I guess if you want to feel more comfortable, yeah, I would probably say take a look at elementary OS 8, although you can make probably any Linux distribution look like anything that you want to, including a Mac. All right, so if we scroll down here, they have the pros and cons. All right, Linux Mint, the pros, free Windows-like interface, excellent software installer program. Some cons include doesn't come with snap support, but he says it can be added. Another con may be no proprietary drivers for NVIDIA ATI, but again, they can be easily installed. All right, this is the best Linux distribution for beginners who are tired of Windows. It still makes me laugh. Yeah, the pros are, the Chrome OS Flex is free, not Chrome OS. The Chrome OS Flex is free, easy to use. The Chrome OS Flex is offered separately from Chromebooks. It's compatible with machines from 2007 plus. All right, one of the cons here is limited game support. You can game on a Chromebook, but if you're into gaming, I would just stick with Windows. Okay, with Ubuntu, the pros are great for personal computers as well as companies. Some of the best hardware recognition available. Built-in snap support, that may not be a plus for some of you. And up to 12 years of support. Now the con, here's why I don't think this should be on the list without a condition. The con is the UI may take some time for new users to learn. The UI meaning the desktop interface. Well, if it takes time for new users to learn, why is this on a beginner's list? He is absolutely 100% correct. But I would put this on the list if it says something like Ubuntu, but try Zorn OS first with GNOME, then go back to Ubuntu, if that makes any sense. Otherwise, solid article. All right, Zorn OS. Pros are it's free and there are paid options. No coding experience necessary, but that's really true with a lot of these. There's a Chrome OS, Mac, or Windows look and feel. Works on both PCs and Macs. The only con he has listed is that the Windows and Mac interfaces are only available in the paid version, but it's not that expensive. I think it's like 40 bucks. I've tested all the versions. They are perfectly fine. You don't need the paid version. The non-Windows-like interface is perfectly fine. So I'm not sure if this will be a con. In fact, I don't think Zorn OS has any cons, in my opinion. MX Linux, the pros are works with much older computers. Yeah, 32-bit. Nice. The con is there is no dual boot option for Windows 8 and newer PCs. I have not tested that, by the way. And doesn't play well with Ubuntu PPAs. That may be true. I have not tested that. All right, finally, elementary OS here. Very elegant, user-friendly, easy learning curve, performs well. Mac OS like UI. The cons are the limited apps in the App Center. Yeah, that's a big con, probably. Updates can be slow to arrive. That I don't know. And the full OS upgrades require a clean installation. Yeah, that may take getting used to if you are a beginner to all this. So, well, in conclusion, he has a graphic here. Linux Mint, Windows-like feel and operation. Chrome OS, again, it's Chrome OS Flex. Chrome OS is built into the Chromebook. A pick-up-and-play operating system. Keep in mind that Chrome OS Flex is not officially supported on all hardware. Chrome OS Flex should work on most, but I cannot guarantee you it's going to work. If you want something that is going to work, maintenance free, take a Chromebook. Ubuntu, a more in-depth OS for learning code. Well, again, that's not necessarily for beginners. Zorn OS, support for Chrome OS, Mac, and Windows-like interfaces. MX Linux, a robust online community for open source code tweaking. Elementary OS, a user-friendly distribution with a similar UI to Mac OS. I will have a link for this below in the show notes. Again, overall, a well-done article. He gets the point, this gentleman. I would question Ubuntu, like I said before, not quite for absolute beginners, but it certainly can be. What are your choices for the best Linux distributions of this year for beginners? And all you Windows users out there that have not tried Linux yet, boo! I had to throw in the boo at the end, right? Come on, Windows users, if you haven't tried Linux yet, or maybe you tried it in the past and maybe you thought it sucks, at least try a Chromebook. At least try that. I don't think you'll say that anymore if you try a Chromebook. Boo! All right, I'm going to have a little bit more wine here. I'm going to check the chat here shortly. If you are out there watching this live this evening, but like to say hello, please don't be shy. And if not, then we'll wrap it up. Let me drink some more wine here, and maybe we'll chat. I love me some sweet red wine. It is delicious. By the way, on a side note, I was just browsing the internet here on YouTube, and I came across this channel. Let me just transition here. Those of you watching this, I'll show this to you. This is, let me go back here to this. All right, there we go. Now I'll show it to you. Okay, so this is Just Fooling About with the actor Michael Biehn. Michael Biehn has been in the movie. He was in the first Terminator movie. He was in Aliens, the character of Hicks, Tombstone, and other movies. He's got a YouTube channel talking to famous actresses. In this case, Veronica Cartwright talks about making Alien and the infamous chestburster scene. Just as a side note, besides Linux, but what a fantastic podcast here. Again, this is Just Fooling Around with Michael Biehn. I don't know, maybe Michael Biehn uses Linux too. Who knows? Yeah, so check out Veronica Cartwright talks about making Alien. I won't spoil it for you whether they knew or not about the infamous chestburster scene. All right, just a side note. All right, I think I've drank all the wine I need to drink. I don't see anybody here in the chat. If you're out there watching this and would like to say hello or have a question, please don't be shy. I know there are many, many, many of you out there who have never had the chance over the years to stop in to say hi because of the time zone differences, or maybe didn't know what to say. Just say hi if you're out there. Again, there's no need to be shy here at this very friendly community, and thank you for 15 years of Total OS. Yeah, it'll be 15 years next month, believe it or not. Thanks to you. Thank you for sticking around, and thank you for your contributions, donations, and your support. Yeah, love you all. Thank you. All right, background music once again provided by Dad. If you would like to check it out, check out the link below in the show notes. So these are all original tunes recorded and sent to me all the way from beautiful Italia. As my singer friend would say, it's all about the love. Amen to that. So for tonight's show, I forgot to mention, I am streaming this using a Dell computer with Linux Mint and, of course, OBS Studio. All right, I don't see anybody here in the chat, so I'm going to drink just a little bit more, another sip here of wine, and I think we may wrap it up for this very late Total OS chat. Okay, I think I've had enough wine for this evening. If you guys have other suggestions for the best Linux distributions for beginners and would like to post them in the comments below, please do. Like I said, I've been doing this. It'll be, well, 20 years next year. I started in 2006. My first date with Linux was something called Ubuntu. Of course, back then Ubuntu was much, much different than what it is today. And even though Linux then wasn't quite ready for the masses, I thought Linux had potential. And maybe I'm rare, but as a Windows user, I had patience. I was willing to wait and learn something new, and I'm glad I stuck around. Linux definitely has gotten much better. There are a few Linux best distributions for beginners, as I mentioned earlier. And you really should check it out if you haven't already. At least try. You know, maybe it isn't for you. I don't know. I use Linux about 80% of the time. I use Linux Mint. I use Lubuntu. On my ThinkPads, I use MX Linux because they still have 32-bit support. ThinkPads play wonderfully with Linux. And of course, I have a Lenovo Chromebook that's absolutely fantastic with zero maintenance. I've never had to fix anything in the Chromebook. I've never had to use the terminal. Never had a problem with updates or drivers, or it's absolute Linux perfection. A Chromebook at a very, very affordable price, starting at about $200. And of course, all the newer Chromebooks will give you 10 years of support. And it really is the Linux machine for the masses. The year of the Linux desktop, it arrived years ago. You really should check out a Chromebook if you want to move away from Windows, don't care for Windows, and just mainly want to get on the web to do what you want to listen to, watch this or whatever. It's hard to beat the value of a Chromebook, especially when, if you don't know anything about computers and all that, all you want to do is turn it on and go. Click and go, as I like to say. It's hard to beat a Chromebook. It really, really is. So check one out if you haven't already. All right, let's see here. I'm going to check out the weather forecast briefly here. Okay, in the 50s tomorrow. Well, it already is tomorrow. I'll take it. And partly sunny. Very good. I think I'll be washing the car tomorrow. All right. I'm going to end the stream right now. Again, thank you for all of you who have stuck around over the years. Those of you who watch this later, if you have any questions or comments, just go ahead and post them below in the comments. I don't have a set schedule for the weekend shows. I'm open to any suggestions or sponsors for live shows as I was pre-pandemic. Yeah, a lot of years has passed. And I think I'll leave it at that. So, have fun no matter what you use. Thank you for 15 years, almost 15 years of this channel. It's been a very interesting journey to say the least, and I'm grateful. All right, that's all I have for this one. To catch you on the next one. Arrivederci.